And welcome to a VSA Capital video blog with ADX Energy, and delighted to have, again, returning fairly quickly actually, Ian Tchacos, the Executive Chairman of ADX Energy. Hi Ian, how are you?
Yeah, very well. And yourself?
Well, I know you're well because you've been drilling and had success. So I guess that's what we're really, it's not so long ago that we talked through the whole company and
Yes.
explained what you were up to. So why don't you just update us on the really good news that you've had?
Yeah, look, we had some very good news 2 weeks ago with announcing a discovery at our Welchow number 1 well. As you know, this well's got a very large potential, for gas somewhere in a range of, say, 200 BCF to over a TCF. Our sort of mid case is around 800 BCF. And we reported, very good gas shows in the well, and we're very, very excited. So we saw a very nice increase in our share price. Subsequently, we got into logging. We got 4 really good logs, good results, even got a flow to surface, but we also ran a pressure sampler, which we failed to run because we actually got stuck in the hole, and I think people took a bit of a dim view of that. But we have to roll with the punches, and I think part of it is on Monday this week we came out with a very technical type of release and really didn't give a lot of colour on how we see this discovery. So I think that's something we need to rectify, but also we had quite a bit of selling because we had some options that were in the money, and you know how it all works.
Yeah, I mean, it's always disappointing to see a share price double overnight and then slowly drift back down. Not actually, you're still up about 25% year to date. So, I mean, that's still a very successful investment, by the way. So, and obviously, I think we're seeing on your share register a bit of a move away from your ASX listed Australian shareholders, perhaps European shareholders as well. So, we're seeing a bit of a transition. But it's good to see liquidity and trading action in your stock full stop, really. As you say, what people are interested in, though, is what the news flow going forward is going to be. So you've addressed one part, which is filling in some of the blanks, but just talk us perhaps a little bit through about what you expect to come up in the next few months.
Yes, certainly. Well, I think as early as next week, I mean, we did report a flow to surface, so we collected samples of that flow, so we'll be able to let people know what it was that flowed to surface, the quality of the oil, and what that tells us about the hydrocarbon system. So, and then obviously we've got core from the well, we've got very good logs, and what we'll be able to do is then start looking at our, if you like, our pre-drill prospective resource and converting that into a contingent resource. So that'll take probably a month and a half till we've, worked through all the data. But so far, our pre-drill estimates look pretty much undiminished. The well came in very much to prognosis in terms of the structure. Our biggest concern for the well was actually getting sufficient seal to be able, at these shallow depths, to be able to if you like, hold back a large gas column. And then with these carbonate reservoirs, what is the key is to have good fracturing and, in this case, vuggy porosity. And we got both of that, and it's very evident in logs. It was very evident from our shows. And it's also, we got a good core, and we've done some early CT scans of the core, and we're seeing very good evidence of fracturing. So fracturing equates to, basically porosity and also into productivity, which is obviously very important.
And there's more in general to be done in this area, isn't there? I mean, this is just the start, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was a well drilled here 30 years ago. We've got a lot of follow-up prospects. This particular prospect is 100 square kilometres. So in October, we're going to come back and test because we had limits on when we could operate in this. I wouldn't call it a sensitive area, but we're in rolling, foothills of the Alps, so people don't want great big flares going during the tourist season. So we'll start up again in October, but we'll also license, if you like, other locations so we can drill more wells. So really, the game from here is going to be trying to convert if you like, a prospective resource to a contingent resource, and then as we test and drill wells into a reserve. But I think one thing for certain is every bit of gas we can find here will be very welcome in the market.
We'll maybe touch on that European gas market in a second, but I mean, again, we did briefly touch on this in the last video we did. But Austria, a lot of people go, Austria? Oil and gas? Bit of surprise, but it actually is historically a very good region for oil and gas, isn't it? Do you want to just touch base on that again?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we sort of broke into a 75-year duopoly between, two gorillas, basically OMV, who's the national oil company, and then another company called RAG, which historically was a consortium of Mobil and Shell. So they're the two big operators. Now, RAG's decided pretty much to get out of exploration. OMV still does a little bit, but in actual fact, we're now the most active explorer in the country. So it's a bit kind of strange. But look, in Austria, they found over 1 billion barrels of oil and about 4 TCF of gas. So it is a substantial oil and gas province. The other big advantage is it's small and there's very good infrastructure. So whatever you're selling, if it's oil, they've got a very modern refinery, so you get good price. It's got good crude, Brent equivalent is what we get for our oil. And obviously, being in Central Europe, gas prices are very strong as well.
I mean, let's just move on to that, because I mean, European gas is making a bit of a comeback, obviously, because of the terrible situation in Ukraine. You're not just Austria, you're looking elsewhere in Europe, and your view is to build a significant European E&P. Do you want to just touch base on perhaps some of the other things as well as Austria that you're up to in Europe?
Yeah, look, we're also in Romania, and we like Romania. I think Romania's had a lot of success technically. However, it's just harder to get things done compared to where we are in Austria. So I think in the short term, we'll focus on Austria because we've got a large amount of 3D data, we've got a large prospect inventory, and we're also have been successful in bringing in partners to fund our exploration. So I think the next year or so, I think Austria is going to be the focus certainly of our exploration. We've also got acreage offshore Italy, and we like Italy as well from a geological perspective, but again from a licensing perspective, that can be a little bit fraught. It's good to see a stable government in Italy for longer than 6 months, and that I think will bring stability. But I mean, to give you an example, most of the wells we've drilled, I mean, we've drilled now, this is the third well we've drilled, most of them, the first two we were able to permit within 4 months. This one has taken a bit longer. It took us 9 months because we're in if you like, a more, let's say we're not in the normal footprint for oil and gas. But still, I mean, that's great when you compare it to, say, Australia or certainly the UK.
And you did briefly mention, but you do have a very good partner in MCF, which is a TSX-listed company, don't you?
Yeah, look, MCF's been very good for Welchow, and they're a company that's also very focused on gas in Europe. So in a way, we're playing the same game. And it's always good to have, if you like, a partner that also takes you to another market so you get greater visibility in what you're doing. Because one of the issues in Austria, it's kind of one of the best oil and gas provinces that no one knows about. So it's actually good to get more eyes on it. And then our other partner is M&D, and M&D is a large European conglomerate. But just their oil and gas division generates, I think, about $8 billion a year in revenue. Out of services, production and trading. So we've got two very good partners, and that's also an attribute which enables us to, I guess, stay out of the market if we have to, and be able to fund ongoing exploration, with other people's money.
So although you're Australian, I guess you're going to be spending a lot more time over here in Europe. Yeah,
I'm planning to virtually move to Europe the second half of the year, and certainly it's important because certainly with a discovery like Welchow, it puts pressure on organisation. I think we're probably, if we're successful there, we'll have to virtually build an organisation around it, because it's a much larger project than I guess most of the people there would be used to. So we'll probably be drawing on talent from the UK. And look, we're always looking for the appropriate time to probably do a dual listing, because we recognise as time goes on, I mean, essentially, we're a European company in terms of our operations, and it just makes sense for people to be able to trade, based on assets in their own backyard.
So, I mean, actually, sort of summing it up, you're a successful E&P company with quite a lot of ambitions and actually good news flow coming up in the relatively near future as well. So, I mean, there's, we've seen a bit of excitement, but it's not all over yet, is it? There's more to come.
No. We'll be drilling another 3 wells this year. We'll be drilling at least another. Well, first of all, we've installed a nice new permanent facility on our Anshoff discovery, so we'll be able to get that back into production. Because so far we've just been producing under a long-term testing permit. Now that's, we've got a production permit, so we'll start producing 140, 150 barrels a day. But that facility's got the capacity to go up to 3,000 barrels a day. And we think with another couple of wells there, we could probably get somewhere between 700 to 1,000 barrels a day out of Anshoff. So that'll pick up our production and our cash flow. And then we're drilling another well with M&D, another gas well in Upper Austria. This is a very different type of well to Welchow. It's smaller, much lower risk pre-drill, and also much closer to infrastructure. So, Welchow probably had a risk pre-drill of 20% chance of success. We're happy now where it's now 100% chance of technical success. Now we've just got to prove the commercial success. These other things are sort of in the 60% range, but importantly, these are things that probably just need 1 or 2 wells, probably looking at 20 or 30 BCF. But 30 BCF of gas, if you're close to infrastructure, is probably still worth about 100 million euros of NPV. So they're the sort of things that you can really build, your cash flow and your ability to fund projects much faster.
And you, as you point out, you actually have a pretty good financial basis, should we say, and cash flow coming on stream. So, I mean, you're in a very healthy position as well.
Yeah, look, it's always good to be able to kind of underwrite your share price with production and reserves, and then be able to offer your investors, the odd sugar hit whenever you can get out and drill a nice well. And I think that's kind of what investors are here, particularly in our space, for a good time, not a long time. So you kind of have to keep reminding them that you're an interesting company and be offering them opportunity to make a difference.
Well, Ian, thanks for giving a quick update and a chat this morning. For anybody who wants to have more information on ADX Energy, then obviously do get in touch with ourselves at VSA Capital if you want, or I'm sure Ian would happily take your own messages as well. It's an exciting story. We're looking forward to talking to you more, because you are going to be over here a lot more, Ian, so thank you very much.
We certainly will be. All the best. Thanks, Andrew.